Well, hello everyone. We're going to just do a small little slow stitch project today, just to stick in here for the fun of it. Nothing big or major to learn, but you might find a little inspiration as we go along. This is about a 5x5 piece of batting on the back. I haven't trimmed down the fabric yet entirely, and I am just kind of auditioning and designing as I go, collaging a flower. I know that I'm going to put a flower right in there, so I'm just positioning some leaves. And sometimes a fun way to start a project is find a couple things that just don't go together. They just like, okay, you would probably chunk it out. But instead of doing that, make yourself use it. And I like to do this sometimes, challenge myself to use something that just doesn't feel right, and see if I can, by working with it, make it beautiful in the end. So you know what can I lose except just a little time and a scrap here and there. Let me get a needle here, getting some black thread sorted out. Now what I mean by that on this project is that I have some really pretty kind of teal blue, kind of like a batik fabric, cotton fabric, and then I have this heavy woven, heavier fabric that has like a large ticking kind of design on it. That just doesn't look like it goes together, but we're going to see if we can make something pretty out of it. And I've got some black fabric, scarf fabric. It's very gauzy. I've just cut some scraps, twisted them up in this case, and pinned them on. And these are just leaf shaped and pinned on. Okay. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tack my, let's see, I'm going to sew this. I want to get it as close to that edge as I can, so I can really tell where my edge of my batting is from the front side. Okay, that's about as close as I'm going to get it. All right. And I'm just going to do a straight stitch. Now what this is for is it's going to hold this piece down, keep it in place, but it also be decorative stitching. So we'll try to keep it fairly straight. Black and white is a very striking set of colors because there's so much contrast to it, and it can't help but draw your attention. And it can be sometimes a very good art addition. It can elevate something ordinary simply because the black and white does demand attention. And so we're going to hope that this one turns out that way. Again, I'm working with scraps here in the sense that these are tiny little pieces or not tiny, but small. You can cut them out of just a scrap piece of fabric that you have. I have one bigger leaf shaped one way and then two smaller leaves shaped differently. Get that out of the way. Eliminate one problem. Okay. All right. That looks pretty good there. Now, I think that's going to go. Let's cut this one off over here so we can tell where the batting is. And then we'll simply come down the next line, securing our background fabric to the batting. Now, somebody asked me, why am I always using batting? I like the substance that it gives a piece. And since I make so many things that I have no clue how I'm going to use them or where they're going to end up, I like that they have a substantial foundation. If I want to include this in fiber art, I can. If I want to include it in a slow stitch collage, I can. The backing is not a problem to any of that. It's a little bit thicker, but then again, it adds a little dimension when you use it in other projects. So I do it because I like it. I like the feel of it. I like to feel that my piece has more stability because it's more substantial. And you've seen me do this, if you've been around very long, many times. Then you've seen me months later pull that piece out and do something with it, incorporate it in something else. And I never have a problem with the fact that it has the batting on it. Okay, what I'm going to do now is continue to sew this around, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to sew the leaves down, okay? And I'll be doing that off camera, then I'll be coming back and I'll show you how I stitch the leaves and then show you how I'm going to form the flower. All right, stay with me. Happy to have you back. This is Linda. I am going to put these flowers together now for you. These are just cut off of a scarf, and as you can see, they were a wider ruffle, and I trimmed them down and kind of scalloped it a little bit just so that would help me a little bit in forming my flower. And it's two different colors here. So I'm going to just take this, and by the way, this is an elastic right here, so that's kind of helpful. It was kind of a different kind of a ruffle. And I'm going to make this kind of just like that, I think. And I'm going to pin it, hopefully, just enough to keep it together. Okay, and that would kind of be the bottom half of my flower. And then I have this one, which I think I'm going to start from the center and build it that way. And I'm going to lay it on top. Let's do it this way. And this one I'm going to pin into the background. Ouch. Get this other one out of here. Where's it at? I know I got it. There it is. And I'll use it to pin also because I want to keep it very secure. Pull this around a little bit. Goodness. Let's do this. Little fiddly, all right. But you can see how that will make you a beautiful flower. Now, in my leaves out here, I have used a fuchsia color thread. Okay, my accent fabric was in the black and the gray, and then the fuchsia color thread with that. So I'm going to put a fuchsia, I actually have my thread back here, eyelash trim. Get me just a little piece of that. And I will probably, I'm going to, this is really long, I'm going to trim some of this length off because I love the color and I love the eyelash trim, but I don't want it that large of a fibers coming across. So I'm just trimming it into my trash can down here. If you know eyelash trim, it gets on everything. So that tames it down some, doesn't it? Let's get it. Got a couple here, though I have to get those threads up, but I could have trimmed it into my thread bucket. All right, now I'm going to take the end down here and I'm going to tuck it as tight and start wrapping it in a circle. Again, fiddly work. Seems like I do a lot of fiddly, don't I? All right. We'll get it around and we're going to tuck this end right up under the bottom, hopefully. And I'm going to stick that right in the middle. And hopefully pin that in. Get this one here. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing in the center of that yarn there. And as I catch that, it will secure the center where I've folded those fabrics. No fancy stitch, just stitching, just up and down, trying to catch the where I'm wrapping pull it tight. And you don't want to pull it all the outside edges all the way in, or you'll lose your, you know, your little feathery look. So some of them you want to sew down, but kind of leave. Don't pull them tight into the inside. Okay. Just keep going around. This will be a very three-dimensional flower because we're not going to go out and sew down all these outside edges. We're basically securing the center so that we get this very lively little flower here. I'm doing all this with the fuchsia color because that way it's burying up in the yarn and you can't really see it. All right, now that pretty much gets that down pretty good. All right, now I am going to have to come in and sew a little bit to make sure that the flower sections don't come apart. All right, let's get a color that'll blend a little better. What have I got up here already? I've got a blue that might work. I'm not going to be using a lot of it. Yeah, I think it will. Let's find the end of it. There it is. It's already 2 strands ready to go. Now this little flower, because the way I arranged it there, you can turn it just about any way you want it and it'll look good. All right, let's get it through the eye of the needle. Yes. As you can see, it looks good this way, but you could turn it that way. You could turn it upside down, or you could have it face the other way. Okay, so really it looks good just any way you want to do it. I like it that way myself, but you know, it's kind of nice. You can turn it any way you want to. This is such a pretty little addition. Wouldn't this be pretty in a bedroom? Just frame it and just sit it on one of those little stands on the side table. It'd be pretty in a very girly bathroom like that. Even in any other room where you need just a vignette type, you've got something that you're decorating on a table, vignette type, that would be pretty. If you've got a tiny space in a big montage of photographs, something like this would be pretty in that too. For home decor, now there's a lot of other ways you can use this. For instance, it'd be gorgeous sewn on the side of a tote. That would certainly make it very pretty and unique. Okay, we're going to around this kind of elastic center that's under the yarn, and we're just right now using that because the thread is blending with that very well. And I'm really wanting to make sure I catch this underneath part, because really the yarn caught the top one really good. I'm coming over and I threw that bottom one. And just any gauzy scarf fabric will make a beautiful flower like this. So if you have some old gauzy scarves and you're tired of them, they've seen better days, well, cut them up. Depending on their colors, they'll be kind of glamorous, or they'll be fun, or they'll be tropical or summery, wintry. Just, you'll get every kind of look depending on the color and pattern. Coming around that, I can take all the pins out now. All right. Now I am going to tack a couple of places like this one here, because it leaves a big gap here. I'm going to pull it over and I'm going to sew it underneath so it'll keep positioned there, but the other flower petal will cover where I'm sewing it. Okay, a little bit more. Anywhere where you feel like it would benefit you. Okay. I think I will tack these down just a little. I think that will allow the top petals to take prominence better, and again give it even more of a dimensional look, lifting them away from the bottom ones. All right, we could let's see, do I want to petal with this at all? You know, I'm pretty happy with that, just the way it is. I'm pretty happy with that altogether. I like it. I'm going to call it done. If I had a little girl at home, I'd make her a little summer dress, and this would be a great big pocket on the front. I would make her a pocket out of this. I would sew a tiny little casing around and then sew it on her dress. I put a little backing on to cover the stitching so that didn't hang. Wouldn't that be a pretty pocket on a little girl's dress? All right. So a lot of what we can do with our slow stitching is only limited by our own imagination. If we get stuck in a mode where I don't know what to do, or you can only do one or two things, well, you're stuck, and you will never find real pleasure in slow stitching because you don't have an objective. I know people say it's not about the destination, it's about the doing. But for me, it's both. If I can't use it, to me it takes a lot of the pleasure out of just doing it. Really, I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. So I want to be able to use the things that I make. So start making a list. If you're not a real imaginative person or creative, as you're watching your different creators and seeing what they're doing with their pieces, start making a list and then start dreaming up some of your own. And then use that to refer back to, and when you make something, think, yeah, that'd be great for that, you know. Or if you've got gift giving season coming up, think about it now. Do you want to make some specialized totes for all your friends with beautiful little pieces on it? Great, then now's the time to do it, okay? So I hope you enjoyed that, and until next time, let's stay scrap happy.